Half an hour earlier than a normal game here at the Uptonsteel County Ground, and there is huge excitement because the Leicestershire side is sprinkled with India. It is just for this game, and he's going to be bowling to Rohit Sharma, the obviously one of the key Leicestershire, one of the key India openers in the game, and he plays forward to that one, guides it down to Sam Evans, who's captaining the Leicestershire side during this game. So as you can gather, it is a very sort of different setup. The game is designed to give India some really first-class warm-up experience for the Test match, which is coming up against England in a week or so's time, a week and a day, in fact. But obviously a lot of excitement, a lot of school children coming into the ground, a lot of fans as well to see some of the real superstars of world cricket performing at the Uptonsteel County Ground as Bumrah goes in and bowls to Rohit Sharma outside the off stump, and Rishabh Pant, the India Test wicket keeper and one of the key batsmen in the side, is keeping wicket for Leicestershire in this game. They are actually wearing their India shirts, certainly not, they're not in Leicestershire kit. Unfortunately, it would be lovely to see them in Leicestershire kit as well. We're just hoping they enjoy the experience so much they might think about coming back on a sort of for a longer term next season. And we are back with you on commentary, and you've just missed a couple of deliveries. Bumrah is in and bowls to Rohit outside off stump. A little bit of swing away from the right hander, and he indicates as such with his right hand.
More of a seam bowler than a swing bowler, Jasprit Bumrah. Can get the ball to swing occasionally, but more nibbling off the seam. He and Mohammad Shami, who are likely to open for India, and Mohammad Siraj both hit the seam. All of them hit the seam really hard, get the ball to nibble both ways. 3 steps in a gully, not an overly aggressive field set by Sam Evans for Leicestershire.
There is a very slight slope here at the Uptonsteel County Ground, and Bumrah is coming down it, bowls to Rohit, who's carefully forward, no big stride from the opener. Thick outside part of the bat, guides it down to Evans, Leicestershire's captain in this game, who's fielding at a slightly backward point. The pitch cut to the west side of the Uptonsteel County Ground for those who know. We'll talk to you about the ground throughout these 4 days, tell you a little bit about it. India arrived here on Monday. It is very popular with touring sides because of the high quality of the nets in particular. Bumrah is in with that very characteristic short run and bowls straighter delivery that he's just calmly tucked off his legs by Rohit down towards backward square. Thinks about a second. Gill more interested perhaps than Rohit. Abhi Sikande comes in from long leg to field, gets his throwaway, and India are off the mark with that single.
I would imagine that is the first time in a match situation that Jasprit Bumrah has bowled to Rohit Sharma with red ball and white clothes, both Mumbai players, and by the time that Bumrah had made it into the Mumbai team, Rohit Sharma was on the India white ball circuit so much that he basically never played. So this is a rare thing that we're seeing.
He's going to be bowling now from the Bennett end to Gill. Down the slope he comes and bowls outside off stump, moves further away, leave, and taken by Pant almost in front of first slip. End of the first over, just finding his way, getting used to the vagaries of the ground here. And India, after 1 over, are 1 without loss. There are various ways to get in touch with us. The quickest, you can contact us on Twitter probably. Knuckles is at Knuckle M Pandey, P-A-N-D-E. M in the middle, and myself you can contact on Foxes Cricket 22. That's the 2 numbers at Foxes Cricket 22.
It's going to be Will Evans bowling from this end nearest us to Rohit Sharma on 1. Shubman Gill, who is one of the very few India players who's had a little bit of first-class practice. He played in the Ranji Trophy quarter-final, didn't take too many runs. 3 slips for Evans, preferred to Davis, sorry, Will Davis with number 44, preferred to Prasidh Krishna, who's had an excellent first-class career thus far, hasn't yet played a test match for India, and also to Abhidin Sakande. 3 slips of backward point cover, mid, off, mid, on, mid wicket, and long leg. right arm over the wicket is Davis, back of a length and just blocked by Rohit. Back to him, there is no run.
Davis is a sort of fairly military medium seamer, arrived at Leicestershire from Derbyshire. He's been at the Foxes for 4 years now. He's had runs in the first team, both in red ball and in white ball cricket, and he's usually in the squad, whichever form of the game they're playing. Doesn't always get a game. He's had sort of little bursts of success. Took 5 for against Middlesex last season.
He's in the second ball of the over, a little bit leg-sidey, but Rohit just plays defensively to the tall figure of Prasidh Krishna at mid-wicket. The throw rather bobbles through to Rishabh Pant, who I don't think particularly appreciated that, having to take that down at his ankles. Haven't yet seen anything acrobatic. It's a shame we actually don't have a particularly loud stump mic, because Rishabh Pant is always extremely entertaining behind the stumps.
I always think that ought to be introduced, really. I think we ought to get a feed of that.
Blocked off the outer part of the bat, and they'll come through for a single as it squirts past backward point. In fact, 2 very easily run by Rohit and Shubman Gill. It's calmly guided past backward point. Rohit, phenomenal, really, for India in England last year. Scored his first overseas 100 as an opener. It was a hugely important part of why India were 2-1 up in that series. Now India Test captain after the retirement, or resignation rather, of the captaincy by Virat Kohli. Evans still, Davis, sorry, still over the wicket. That one kept a little bit low on its way through to Rishabh Pant, left alone outside off stump. We're hoping the pitch will get a little bit of bounce and a little bit of spice, particularly if the sun comes back out and just makes it a little bit quicker through the first couple of days.
It's usually the sort of second day that they tend to be a little bit better to bat on. And as we were talking beforehand, they are trying to get a little bit more life into the pitches here at the Uptonsteel County Ground.
Penultimate ball of the over, again just defended off the outer part of the bat, and again steered past backward point. Fine of him, and another 2. I wonder if Sam Evans will think about bringing in a gully, as Rohit Sharma is just able to guide that backward as square from a ball that was really on the top of off stump.
He had an awful lot of time, didn't he? Just to wait for it.
One of those players who was always looked as though he had time. It was used sort of as a stick with which to beat him before he became a really, really good Test cricketer. Last ball of the second over of this tour match. A little bit of a leading edge there from Rohit Sharma. It was full. He tried to work it through mid-wicket. It squirts all on the ground to cover 4 runs off the over in 2's India. 5 for none.
Yeah, a little bit of movement there for Davis. Squared up slightly. But again, he had time to adjust. Fairly gentle stuff from Davis to start with.
Yeah, we don't have a speed gun here, but imagine there would be a reasonably significant difference between Will Davis and Jasprit Bumrah.
I think that's probably fair to say. He's got sort of orange elastic bandages on his arms, Bumrah, as he turns at the Bennett end and walks. And then gets into that little burst before delivering outside off stump, driven calmly away beautifully by Shubman Gill out to the cover boundary. Bat was quite a long way from his body, but he trusted his eye. It was foolish outside off stump, just and leant into it, pushed it away, didn't try and overhit it, made sure he got it in the middle of the bat and out to the extra cover boundary. Wide long off it goes, picked up by one of the ground staff out there, sitting watching on his red tractor attached to the covers at the moment. No prospect of rain. There is a suggestion, there is a possibility of the odd shower later this afternoon, but not for some time yet. Bumrah is in again. 2. Gill drags his length back. He waits and guides it down with his weight slightly on the back foot down towards Gully, who falls to his right to make the stop, then wanders down, prods the pitch a little suspiciously. Dark socks underneath his cricket whites for Gill.
First touch of the ball as a Leicestershire player for Joey Everson. It's just signed from Nottinghamshire this week. I don't think Jasprit Bumrah will take too kindly to being extra cover driven by his by his teammate. It was a lovely shot by Gill just a couple of balls ago.
Tall, slim young man waits very still with his bat raised at the crease as Bumrah is in, and Bolstrom goes past the outside edge with a little bit extra in that delivery. Just bounced. First time we've seen just that little bit of extra something from the bowler, and helped by the pitch, a little bit of movement, and past the outside edge it went, taken by Pant, who is standing reasonably deep to Bumrah, having a chat, getting to know his new temporary teammates, I suppose, but it looks like he's doing most of the talking out there.
It would be a rare game when he didn't.
In goes Bumrah, and bowls again and again, slightly outside. Evans dives across at point and doesn't manage to stop the ball. He gets two hands to it as it squeezed through and ran about 5 yards or so behind him. Cheteshwar Pujara runs across from extra cover just to tidy up, and one is taken. Gill joins Rohit Sharma on 5, 10 without loss.
Shubman Gill was meant to be, talked about KL Rahul opening with Rohit Sharma last summer. Shubman Gill was India's opener going into that series. He opened in the World Test Championship final, but then got injured. He's had some shin injuries which have kept him out of some cricket in the latter part of 2021, but he has a chance, I guess, in this Test match to re-establish himself as India's first choice opener alongside Rohit.
Bumrah is in, bowls to Rohit, who is all care and caution. Deep in the crease, again no great foot movement, but everything neat and close together as he blocks it out into the offside. Yeah, big innings for him really then, in the circumstances for Gill.
Potentially, yeah. It was the tour games get a bad rap, I think, perhaps unnecessarily, but it was in the tour game against the County Select 11 that KL Rahul scored 100, which got him into some form when a couple of injuries forced him up to open again. Yeah,
you never quite know whether a place might be coming available. In goes Bumrah and bowls, foolish, and again Rohit, no great foot movement, but waiting for it. Head right over the ball, blocks it out into the offside from just outside off stump out towards Pujara, and that is the end of the over. 10 without loss, India after 3, all very gentle just to start with, but that delivery from Bumrah may be the sign of things to come. He's just working up to his or close to his full pace.
As anyone who's watched him in white ball cricket will know, he has a superb Yorker, but in Test matches that's what he does. It's not exactly back of a length, but a length delivery, troubling the splice, getting the ball to nibble either way. He can get the ball to swing in the right conditions, but it's that seam movement that does it. He's quick enough anyway, and he adds that little bit of extra as Davis continues. Down the leg side, comes off the thigh pad, and Rishabh Pant has to sprawl to his left to stop that going away for leg byes.
Should probably apologise to those of you who are watching on the stream. Occasionally we will appear in person, as there is a commentator camp. We can only apologise.
It's all part of the local colour, Richard. I'm sure they'd be much happier watching the dancers who were performing before play started in between deliveries. This one to be delivered by Davis, just on a length, and Gill defends solidly into the offside. There is no run. It almost goes without saying that Shubman Gill has a superb first-class record. As a batter, particularly, you don't get into this India setup without scoring a hell of a lot of first-class runs. He and Hanuma Vihari, the two batters who weren't in that Test 11 last year, both superb first-class records. Gill both for Punjab in the Ranji Trophy and for India A, as Davis is in. This is tucked off the hip, and that'll be his second boundary. No one at square leg, and that races away to the fence, where it's picked up by a member of the India support staff. The work of but a moment. Just a little bit leg side. It wasn't a terrible delivery, but it just gave Shubman Gill the opportunity to turn his wrists on it backward at square.
Please the school children. Parties from various Leicester schools have come in to watch their heroes.
What'll Davis come back with? A decent delivery. Tight to the stumps this time, better line, and blocked up to Pujara at mid-off. Yeah, there are a lot of school kids in. You can see them over there at the far end of the ground from where we are. Kind of backward point to the right-hander when the bowling's from from this end, and they were all holding up signs spelling out Leicestershire Foxes, which is a lot of children to organise to stand in the right position for an ultimate ball of the over from Davis. Well, Gill wasn't really forward or back to that, sort of squirts it off the outer part of the bat to backward point. There is no run, fielded by Roman Walker.
Yeah, they're a long way from the cricket over there in the family stand. I know one group are from Lancaster Academy, and we'll find out where the other group are from. I think throughout the game, hopefully, Leicestershire have been making sure tickets have been available to some of the schools.
Last ball of the fourth over of this tour match as Davis is in to Shubman Gill, who blocks back to the ball. There is no run. Gill on 9, Rohit Sharma, the India captain, on 5. 4 overs gone, India 14 for none. I had a question from Aryan asking how we see Cheteshwar Pujara performing. He was dropped for the Sri Lanka series, but he's forced his way back in with a superb season at Sussex, or half season, I guess.
Yeah, it's been, hopefully from his and India's point of view, really useful time for him down there at Hove. Class player, and class has told in the county championship as far as Pujara is concerned. Yeah, they have some decisions to take India before the test match.
One would imagine that Cheteshwar Pujara will bat number 3, be back into that side. We will give you the India playing or batting 11 for this first day, maybe in between balls at the end of the over.
Bumrah to continue from the Bennett end is in to Rohit Sharma, bowls down the leg side. Didn't quite get his line right on that one. He stepped inside it, Rohit, and in the end didn't play at it. Taken by Pant, of course, falling away to his left behind the stumps. Then he asked one of the Leicestershire slippers just to refasten his shoelace.
Early bit of team bonding there as the first slip fielder.
It's usually Kimber who wears 14. Quite sure it is. He's got a good pair of hands on him at first slip. The echelon, 3 slips and a gully, as in goes Bumrah and bowls outside of stump. Pant this time takes it in front of Kimber, diving away to his right.
So yeah, India obviously with Pujara and Pant both playing for Leicestershire in this game. That's 2 of their top 6 not playing. So it's Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer we have carded at number 3. The Mumbai batter. Virat Kohli, of course, at number 4. Hanuman Vihari at 5. K.S. Bharat, the backup wicket-keeper. Ravindra Jadeja, Shardul Thakur, Mohammad Shami, Mohammad Siraj and Umesh Yadav.
But it's subject to change. In goes Bumrah and bowls full on off stump, calmly driven away out to extra cover for 4. No chance for Pujara, though he did dive away to his right. It was more of a gesture really than a meaningful dive. And again, calmly and rather beautifully played out to straight extra cover by Rohit for 4. Very, very fast outfield here. If they beat the infield, the batter can be almost certainly assured of picking up a boundary. It has been very dry in England for the last 5 weeks or so. Bumrah is in again to Sharma outside off stump. Decent pace, but it was wide, went wider, and Rohit had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that was a delightful shot again from Rohit Sharma. Just a little lean on it. Through the England series last year, he was extremely disciplined, scored far slower than he usually does, played far fewer shots, left far more than he usually does. Slightly exaggerated, I think, version of that. It was kind of in a period where the ball was really dominating the bat in England in Test cricket, and that was an extremely controlled shot.
He waits as Bumrah is in again. He's got that one wrong down the leg side, seamed away. Pant dived away to his left, didn't take the ball cleanly. Took his gauntlets off as he rolled on and picked it up one-handed. No problems with his fingers. Sometimes they can be a bit of a stinger for the wicket-keeper. This is all good, useful build-up for Rishabh Pant behind the stumps.
He's turned himself into an excellent wicket-keeper, having been a little bit ropey at the start of his international career. But he's a very, very good mover behind the stumps.
He waits with his gauntlets on his knees, and it crouches down as in goes Bumrah. Slightly squares up Rohit with good off-stump delivery, line and length. Not great movement there. Rohit managed to block it out into the offside, then wanders down the pitch. Prods at it again, slightly suspiciously, and then touches gloves with his opening partner, Gill, at the other end. It's 18 without loss. 5 overs have been bowled. No real alarms for these India openers. Pitch looking reasonably benign.
A little bit of seam movement, nothing that you wouldn't expect, I don't think. More from Bumrah than Davis, who's going to continue from the pavilion end. Still the 3 slips, no change to the field as yet. Shubman Gill, who's on 9 off 11, a couple of lovely boundaries, faces up to Davis. He pushes at this one a little bit early on that, so it squirts off the outer part of the bat. They'll come through for 2 as it goes to the left hand of cover, where Sam Evans, the captain, has moved himself. Just getting a little bit ahead of himself, maybe, Gill.
Good morning, or I should say good afternoon, really, to Sonny, who's been in touch on Twitter. He says it's good to see the commentators in between. He says it's no fun always watching the players on the field. I'm not sure. And he wonders if this is the first practice match wherein the members of the visiting team are playing for the home team. No, it has happened.
It has happened quite recently, as this is flicked gloriously by Shubman Gill through mid-wicket. It was a full half volley from Davis on middle and leg stump, but it was clipped gorgeously away. And by the time the fielder at mid-on started to give chase, he realised he was going to have to pick it up from the boundary. His third for Shubman Gill, 15 off 13 balls. No, Avesh Khan and Washington Sundar played for India last year in a warm-up game at Durham for a county select 11, and they've been both promptly broke fingers and missed the tour. But India have decided that that was a freak occurrence, and so they're doing it again. Will Davis come back with having been hit by Shubman Gill? Bowls a good delivery, which forces Gill to leaving on length, which is a good sign on the first morning of a game. Passed well over the top of off stump from not that short.
Hardik, Dave, how much do you think it important for the touring teams to have a warm-up match in England, given the fact they've played a test series just before the tour? That's sort of 2 questions in one, really, isn't it? Clearly, I think it is to adjust to the conditions, but it's a question of tiredness as well.
As Davis is in back of a length, and this is blocked by Shubman Gill, kind of off neither front nor back foot into the covers. There is no run. India's last test series was a few months ago, and it was in India against Sri Lanka. Now, Indian pitches are not. If the only test cricket you've seen in India was the series against England in the early part of 2021, that is not representative of what India test pitches have been recently. But they are different. I think it's as much a psychological thing as anything. It's just good to get in a little bit of rhythm against actual bowlers, as this is again left on length pass as well over the top of off stump from Davis. It's quite nice action, Davis. He's tallish, strongly built, broad shoulders, seems to hit the crease hard.
When he first came into first-class cricket, he was considered a reasonable prospect. He was a little bit quicker than he has become. He did have a few injuries in the early part of his career.
As this one forces Shubman Gill to defend a little bit awkwardly, and it's well sprung at by the third of those 3 slips, but no real alarm all along the ground. Shubman Gill 15 off 17, Rohit Sharma 9 off 19, 6 overs gone, India 24 for none.
You can also get involved on social media, sending your tweets and Instagram pics to the club, the county club, which is at Leicestershire, or at Less, Leics, English spelling, CCC, LEICSCCC, and use the hashtag LEIVIND, of course. So that's at Leicestershire CC, LEICSCCC, and the hashtag LEIVIND.
Nikhil Kulkarni is asking how the pitch is looking like. In a word, blameless.
Is often the way here at the Uptonsteel County Ground. It won't be, hopefully, next Friday when Leicestershire play Northamptonshire in an absolutely key T20 game. Bumrah is in and bowling onto the leg stump of Rohit Sharma. Tries to work it into the leg side, doesn't get anything on it. It bounces off the pad into the leg side. Roman Walker, formerly of Glamorgan, now very firmly of Leicestershire, comes in to field. He'll probably be the next Leicestershire cab off the rank in terms of bowling.
Another solidly built fella, barrel chest.
Yeah, like all Welshmen, played a lot of rugby when he was young, and it kind of looks like it. That's a massive generalisation. Apologies to those Welshmen who don't play rugby. Not many of them. In goes Bumrah and bowls. Oh, and that comes back and hits Sharma, I suspect, quite high. I don't think it was... Oh, yeah, it was quite a midship, so he's going to have to take a few moments now. I don't know why we always laugh in these circumstances. There is nothing funny whatsoever about it from the batsman's point of view, but there was a little bit of nip and a little bit of lift, a little bit of seam back in to the skipper, and he is just going to take a few moments to compose himself. Rishabh Pant has come up to offer him. What can you say in those circumstances? Just take your time, Skip. And Gill likewise.
Offering the benefit of his wisdom. The India physio has come out with his bag.
Ice.
I'm not entirely sure what the India physio intends to do with that bag.
Bag of ice, something like that. I don't know.
I think it's one of those injuries that when the ball does come in sharply and hit the batter in the box, that's just.
He has taken the box out and is examining it carefully.
I would hope so. See, helmets, when you're hit in the head, you are told to change your helmet because it's no longer giving you optimum protection. I am not convinced that the same is true of what sports manufacturers euphemistically call the abdominal protector.
I remember the story David Lloyd tells about being
every time he's near a mic.
Yeah, this is true. Yes, Jeff Thompson, I think, wasn't it, and sort of beating the dents back out of it afterwards.
For the 4 people out there who haven't heard that story, boxes in the 1970s had holes in them, and I think you can guess the rest. Much better these days, and Rohit Sharma is back up on his feet, but. I don't think you'd be wanting to be hit anywhere so vulnerable by Jasprit Bumrah too often. That was a good, spiteful delivery.
It was. You can download, apparently, the new Leicestershire app via the Apple Play Store if you want to indulge in a certain amount of live chat with fellow spectators. The club tell me. In goes Bumrah to Rohit and bowls. Line and length on off stump. Rohit again, no big movement of the feet, and no ball actually from Bumrah. Did overstep on that occasion. It is often the way if you haven't bowled here before, when you are coming down the slight slope from the Bennett end.
It's one of those bowlers who gets very close with that back heel to the line all the time. He's always pushing that front line. Of course, in the test match, the umpires, the no balls will be called by the TV umpire remotely.
Bumrah is in and bowling straight again. Rohit is looking to work it into the leg side. I think there's a little bit of seam movement back in. We're not perfectly behind the bowler's arm, and he was looking to work it into the leg side. Came off the pad, and again Walker came in to field.
Yeah, just a little bit of nip off that excellent seam position of Jasprit Bumrah. He's got superb wrist behind the ball. When you see close-ups of Jasprit Bumrah, you'll see what I mean. That stiff cock of the wrist, the seam going almost vertical down the pitch and exacerbating any seam movement that's in the pitch.
Leans forward and gets into his run-up and bowls outside off stump, this time moving it away from Rohit, but again started a little bit too wide, went wide, and nicely taken by Pant, diving across low, almost in front of sort of second slip by the time he actually slithered to a halt with the ball in his glove.
That is a really good take, because that's gone late. That wasn't that wide outside off stump when it passed the stumps, but then you're absolutely right. He almost took out Kimber at second slip with the dive.
Bumrah is in and bowling goes past the outside edge. I'm pretty sure Sharma wasn't playing inside the line of that one. That one was a nice length, and it found a little bit of movement away from the right-hander, who leant forward, looked to defend. May have been slightly unsettled. He definitely did play that. I can tell you he definitely did, because he just punches the bat in annoyance with himself as he wandered off towards short leg. He remains 9 not out, 25 balls he's faced, 15 off 17 for Gill, 25 without loss in goes Bumrah and bowls. Thick outside edge, and he's going to pick up 4. I think it's going to go down the slope all the way. It went low. He played it with soft hands, so it wasn't remotely a chance to third slip. Little toot of the Vuvuzela, which often greets a boundary here at the Uptonsteel County Ground from the popular stand over there alongside the meet.
A lot of South Africans in the area.
It did actually come from, I believe, the World Cup in South Africa, which was awful long,
2010. 2010, yes.
Almost 12 years ago now. So, yeah, that has been tooted on very occasionally at the Uptonsteel County Ground ever since. 29 without loss. Row it into double figures, 13 of 26. 7 overs have been bowled.
Fabulous over from Bumrah to Rohit Sharma. Had him genuinely uncomfortable for at least 4 of those 6 deliveries. What can Will Davis do to Shubman Gill? 3 slips have got quite close now, and quite close together, as it were. This is steered to backward point. There is no run. There's quite a bit of talk in the test matches of how close together and how staggered the slip cordon should be. There's not a lot of gap sort of laterally between the 3 of them here. There are quite a steep stagger. It can get... You might think if you're fielding in the slips, you want to be close together, but sometimes leaving a bit of a gap can make it easier to judge who should go for what, as Davis is in to Shubman Gill. This is left alone outside off stump. Rishabh Pant takes on the skip. There is no run. There was that catch that was it Rutan Bairstow didn't go for it in the second test match when they were standing quite close together, and it just goes straight between them. I mean, this is with the Leicestershire side making a lot of changes. The slip cordon, the sort of the regularity and familiarity of the slip cordon will be tested as Davis is in. This is blocked from the crease into the offside. There is no run. So I think we've got Louis Kimber at second, Joey Everson at third. Quite been able to work out who's at first.
I think is it Bowley, tall young man. Young off-spinner, hasn't appeared for the first team as yet. I suspect it might be.
I think it is, yes.
I beg your pardon. Paul Nixon tells me.
As Davis is in, this is pushed up to mid-on. So that was Nat Bowley at mid-on there, doing the field in the
It's Sam Bates at first slip, who is... Why I'm was slightly confused is that Sam is, of course, the wicket-keeper normally or a wicket-keeper for Leicestershire, but he's gone in at first slip, A, obviously because he can catch, but B, so he can bend the ear of Rishabh Pant about wicket-keeping, essentially, or listen to Rishabh Pant.
It's as good a place as any to put a displaced wicket-keeper first slip. As penultimate ball of the over, Davis into Rohit Sharma, just defends up to the tall figure of Bowley at mid-on, just to see if he can get any spin later on today. You talk about the sharing of experiences, and that's one of the things these tour games really are great for, and it's such a shame for Bowley and for Rehan Ahmed, the leg spinner, that R. Ashwin isn't with the India team at the moment. He tested positive for COVID. Professor Ashwin, just listening to Professor Ashwin talking about spin would be worth turning up for, as this is left in the sort of Ricky Ponting manner, big front stride and the bat well above the head from Rohit Sharma. He's on 13, Shubman Gill on 16, 2 off the over, 30 for none.
4 overs, none for 15 for Davis. It's warm out there, although the clouds have come over the ground, so I wouldn't imagine the spells will be too long, and it might be that Sam Evans will be thinking about getting the likes of Roman Walker into the attack. I assume that Jasprit Bumrah has been told he will bowl 4 or 5 overs or whatever. The input is as much from the sort of strength and conditioning people in terms of the build-up as the captain these days, isn't it? I would, in games like this, I would think, don't bowl any more.
There's so many factors to take into account.
Exactly. He's bowled 4 overs, none for 15 so far. Goes in and bowls. Oh, bounce and lift. Comes back a little bit. Goes past the outside edge of Gill's bat. Now, I think Gill played that quite well. He sort of dropped his hands a little bit, but there was bounce and movement there. And the difference between Bumrah and Davis is marked. And it was taken by Pant high to his left, around about head height.
That's a fabulous delivery from Jasprit Bumrah, borderline unplayable, really. And one of the things about being a test opener is sometimes I think you've got to allow yourself to be beaten.
Yep. In he comes and bowls again, tucks up Gill a little bit with a better length delivery. Better length, I'd say, is a fuller length. Plays it solidly enough. Again, slightly jumpily, pushed it out into the onside. He looks a little bit nervous at the moment still to me, Gill. I don't know whether it's just his body language or I'm reading too much into it. 16 years.
He is quite a handsy, I suppose, is the best way of describing it, player. Almost anyone would look jumping next to Rohit Sharma, but he does like to get his hands into the ball.
Sharma, a very solid figure indeed, leans on his bat and watches as Bumrah goes in and bowls full again to Gill. No great stride forward from the tall young man, but everything nicely close together as he plays it out off stump towards Cheteshwar Pujara out there at mid-off now. Evans has brought an extra man in to the offside. He himself is at extra cover. Still the three slips, so Bates, Kimber and now Davis is in there. At third. Bumrah is in and bowls and driven most pleasantly by Gill. Back past him, he stuck out a left foot, but it was no more than a gesture. Again, didn't try and overhit it, no great follow through, but just leant into it, got his weight into that one, weight on the front foot, bunted it back past the bowler out to the long off boundary for 4. Lovely shot.
You know it's a good shot when Rohit Sharma gives you a pat on the back. That wasn't a half volley, that was driven on the up down the ground. He's hit 4 boundaries this morning. That was the best of the bunch.
Lovely sound off ball of bat, very mellow sound of ball hitting bat. In goes Bumrah looking for revenge. He's drifted that one onto leg stump though, and Gill tucks him away down to long leg. Nat Bowley down here runs in and fields. And the single is taken. Gill into the 20s now, on to 21. In fact, 35 without loss.
He's a very, very good player of fast bowling, Shubman Gill. He did very well in Australia when India won in 2020-21. Very good player of the short ball. Can be a little sort of handsy outside off stump, but a lot of stroke players are. Hasn't yet scored a Test 100.
Bumrah is in to Rohit Sharma, who defends, leaning forward. Delivery on middle and off. Back down the pitch it goes to Jasprit Bumrah. End of his 5th over. None for 20 for him. There's been the odd threatening delivery. He's found a little bit of extra seam movement off this green tinged but essentially fairly placid pitch. But no great movement otherwise for him. 35 without loss. India after, how long have we had? Best part of 25 minutes, 40 minutes play I should say now.
It does look like the sort of pitch where your margin for error in terms of length is pretty small. Anything that's been even slightly full has been driven quite easily, but there is a little bit of something just back of a length. Davis is also going to get a 5th over, 4 overs, none for 15. Shubman Gill pushes into mid-on and a loud shout of no between Gill and Rohit that there is no run. Bowley doing the fielding at mid-on. Has been a wicket in the minor matter just up the M1 and across the M62 in Headingley. Tom Latham caught by Joe Root at the bowling of Stuart Broad, New Zealand 2 for 1. As Will Davis comes in, those 3 slips await from Shubman Gill, and they might be in business here. The keeper is in fact Rishabh Pant. It's a good delivery from Davis. Gill just not quite sure whether to cut or leave or defend. Sort of did neither. It comes off the top edge through to Rishabh Pant. Simple catch. Will Davis has dismissed Shubman Gill, who looked very good this morning for 21 of 28 deliveries. India 35 for 1. Good ball.
Yep, a little bit of extra bounce. And the despondent Gill has to go. He waited for the decision, but Pant slightly apologetically caught it, really.
If I must.
Oh, well, OK. 35 for 1.
No real decision needed to be made. Umpires Anthony Harris and Russell Warren, your umpires today. Seeing this again on the monitor, it was just a little bit wider than I think Gill would have been wanting to play a defensive shot out.
Wasn't a great shot, was it? He could have left it Should have left it.
It's
really.
the line
it was a bit
where
wide, wasn't it?
it's the kind of line where you should either be trying to score runs off it or leave it. Defending a ball that's not going to hit your stumps is a mug skim. A little bit of indiscretion from Shubman Gill. Hanuman Vihari is going to come out at number 3. Has batted there for India. He's kind of batted everywhere for India. He's found himself, despite being a very good player, sort of the spare, the sacrificial, almost a utility batter in this India side. Phenomenal first-class record for Andhra and Hyderabad. He's going to come in at number 3 today, which perhaps indicates that Shreyas Iyer is going to bat number 5 in the Test match, because this is the position that would be filled by Cheteshwar Pujara, one assumes. But Hanuman Vihari had a few games at Warwickshire last season with no real impact, but a very, very good player.
It's been pointed out to us on Twitter by Fahim that Ashwin has actually arrived in Leicester now.
Oh, very good. So he may play some part in this game. So perhaps Rehan and Bowley can get a clinic from Professor Ashwin after all. This is turned nicely by Vihari off the hip. They'll come through for one. It'll just be one. Prasidh Krishna, the tall, lanky figure, who's down there at long leg, which perhaps indicates that he's going to come on and replace Bumrah from the Bennett end next over. Vihari off the mark with a single. Ashwin tested positive for COVID-19, but has obviously cleared all those protocols and has flown in. As Davis is in. Road slightly discomforted by that. Not quite sure what shot to play at it in the end. Takes one hand off the bat and blocks it into the onside. Still sort of feeling the effects, perhaps, of that blow in the box that he took a couple of overs ago from Jasprit Bumrah. He's never a huge mover of his feet, Rohit Sharma, but just the weight transfer into the shot isn't quite what it might be. But that's why you play these warm-up games, to try and get everything in sync, isn't it? As Davis is in again from the pavilion end. That was a beautiful shot from Rohit Sharma. Not quite as well timed as he might have liked, but off the back foot, a cut shot. It will be just about hauled in by the fielder, racing towards it from backward point. Very, very good effort from the fielder out there. And I think he's saved a single there, so just the 3 runs to Rohit Sharma, but nicely guided through backward point. A good chase from Sam Evans.
Yeah, they're a good fielding side, Leicestershire. Fit fielding side. They work hard on their sprinting, and Evans had a chance to show it there. Please, the children. Ball almost crossed the ropes right in front of them. It's the nearest it's been to them, I think, so far this morning.
Last ball of the 10th over. Hanuman Vihari sort of puts bat in line with ball and lets ball hit bat, defends into the offside. There is no run. A successful over for Will Davis. 5 overs, 1 for 19. Had Shubman Gill caught behind. If you're just joining us on the Leicestershire live stream with me, Knuckle Pandey, and Richard Ray, day 1 of this 4-day tour game between India and Leicestershire. India won the toss and elected to bat, and after 10 overs are 39 for 1.
Abhi Sakande is going to have a bowl from the Bennett end. He's replacing Jasprit Bumrah at that higher end of the ground. Former Sussex, now Leicestershire medium, occasionally medium fast-paced bowler.
It looks as though that was just a transfer of ball, because it's going to be India for India. It's Prasidh Krishna.
It's Krishna who's going to have a go. Yeah.
Hasn't yet played a Test match. Has probably more prominent if you're a casual fan's not the right word, but if you don't follow Indian domestic cricket as a white ball player, but a very good first-class record.
Down the slope he comes and bowls to Rohit, who is squared up slightly, looking to play it on the leg side, and comes off the pad, bounces out into the offside, and Evans, having distinguished himself in the previous over with his fielding, manages to lose his feet on that occasion and make something of a Horlicks of it. And he's smiling there as he threw it to Pujara. Got a little bit, well,
sort of a five-a-side goal.
As
a five-a-side goalkeeper, that's a five-a-side goalkeeper's save. Just get something in the way, doesn't matter how you look.
He walks in now as in goes Krishna and bowls. Again, it's worked into the offside, or looking to work it into the offside is Rohit. Thick outside part of the bat, off the back foot, sees the ball run out towards backward point.
Prasid was a bit of a latecomer to first-class cricket. He kind of got pigeonholed as a white ball specialist. He's played a good amount of IPL cricket, mostly for KKR, and has played one-day international cricket now for India. But 49 wickets at 17, or just under 18 in 11 first-class games for Prasid Krishna. In a country that's not always easy to bowl, seem to.
And bowling full, driven out into the offside. Didn't put his full weight into that shot, Rohit. And Pujara running across from mid-off towards extra cover, makes a stop, takes the single. I still think Rohit's looking a little bit uncomfortable out there. He's, as you say, maybe still feeling the effects of that delivery from his teammate Bumrah, who is having a chat to him at the moment and maybe just sympathising a little bit.
It's an inquiry after his health.
Sorry about that, Skip.
Now he's telling him how he should have played it.
Yeah, advice that may be less appreciated by Rohit Sharma. He's on 17 though, of 34 balls, 40 without loss. Vihari is on strike, 44 on his bat, very solidly built right-handed batsman. He's taken a guard, sees that Prasid Krishna is ready. Down the slope he comes and bowls outside off stump, but wide, and went wide. Again, Pant diving to his right, taking it low in front of first slip. Bates is at first slip, as I say, who is a wicketkeeper, and he's sort of getting ready to take things like a wicketkeeper almost, really. You could almost see him with the pads and gauntlets on there, the way he sort of went down.
Shadow wicket-keeping from first slip, and notice there that Rishabh Pant gave him a big sort of hand slap, low five there. I think they enjoyed that, the keepers' union.
Krishna is in and bowls, bounce and lift and movement, and it goes past the outside edge of Vihari's bat. That was a super delivery. He's tall, whippy sort of action. It's no great run-up, but he generates a little bit of something extra there. And that was a super delivery.
Yeah, I would wager 6-4 maybe Prasid Krishna. Trying to find cricketers' heights online is not always the most reliable, but he is tall. He's got a really sort of strong action, hits the crease hard, and is pretty quick.
Comes in and bowls fuller and straighter, leaning forward in defence is Vihari, pushing the ball back up the pitch on the on-side, fielded by Bumrah at mid-on, and there is no run. And an interesting first over there for Krishna. Just conceded the single from it, but produced a couple of really juicy deliveries.
Yeah, I thought I heard a sound in my headphones there from that one that rose past the outside edge. I thought for a second he might have got the shoulder of the bat to it, but no, he managed to play inside the line of it, or to not follow it with his hands. Hanuma Vihari, which is important. Prasid plays for Karnataka, which is the home state of the India head coach Rahul Dravid. Sharma is going to face up to Davis, so I think having dismissed Shubman Gill is going to get an extra over, going to get a sixth, 5 overs, 1 for 19, as we come up to 50 minutes of play on this first morning of this tour game. That one's risen past the outside edge. Rishabh Pant, using both feet and his, or rather both hands and his foot, manages not to catch that as it rises past the outside edge of Rohit Sharma's bat. There is no run.
Super delivery again. Maybe the effects of the sort of early morning rolling is wearing off now, and the greenness of the pitch is not just an illusion after all.
It just looks a little bit looser than he did at the start of this spell, Davis. I think he's slamming it down with a bit more authority. This one is comfortably left by Rohit Sharma through to the keeper. There is no run, and that's not just the effect of getting a test opener out, which is obviously going to give you some confidence, but he seemed to be warming into the spell nicely as he went.
It's been one of his issues, I think, Will Davis, at Leicestershire certainly, and maybe at Derbyshire too. Obviously didn't see too much of him there, but I've seen most of the bowling he's done for Leicestershire. You never quite know what you'll get from him, and he can look sort of fairly tired a lot of the time.
That was not a tight delivery, but it's met very authoritatively off the back foot by Rohit Sharma. He didn't quite time the one that went through that point. That not a tight delivery, but it's very authoritative. Rohit Sharma's most authoritative shot for the last 15 minutes or so. Lovely back foot punch.
The kids love that. They explode into life. They wave their 4 little posters
Yeah, I saw the ground staff and the teachers and the stewards handing those out to them just before the play started. Yeah, loving life. A lot of kids of the South Asian diaspora community, which, if you don't know this part of the world, is huge in Leicester. Wonderful, wonderful occasion for the local communities, as Davis will look to try and remedy what he did poorly in the last over. Slightly overcorrected there, went a little bit leg side, and Rohit blocks this down into the onside. Was that signalled a leg by the umpire at this end?
It sounded quite wooden, didn't it? I'm not sure it was. 22. Rohit is on now, so I think a single has gone down to his name. I'd like to see the kids moved across to maybe to the family stand, so they're a little bit closer to the action. They are an awful long way away over there.
Penultimate ball of the over. Hari now on strike. This one stops in the wicket a little bit, or just seems to pop a little bit. Comes off the splice of the bat directly in front of Hari. No issues. There is no run. Yeah, they are. They're stuck down there, deep third, really, down there, sort of next to the nets. Perhaps if the bowling is from the other end, they might get a whack towards the mid-wicket region.
The main nets are actually on the other side of the road behind the meet. That's just a sort of family, bowler tennis ball net over there in the.
Hopefully that'll get some use over the course of the day. Last ball of the over is a good one from Davis, angling away from Hari. A little bit of movement away, and Hari, I think, genuinely beaten. I mean, he played inside the line of it, but he was beaten by it. A good over from Davis, just, other than that boundary. 45 for 1 after 12, India.
Davis's last 2 overs have been the best of his spell, really. 6 overs. He has bowled now, probably is getting close to the end, but it's been relatively impressive stuff. Prasid Krishna will continue. He bowled a very impressive first over from the Bennett end. He's going to be bowling to Rohit Sharma. He's got 3 slips, hasn't got the gully, well, sort of backward point / deep gully, as Krishna is in, bowl short, pulled in the air. Oh, almost got a hand to it there. I think Walker may even have got a hand to it. It was just pulled away off the back foot, and Rohit didn't manage to keep it down, and Walker looked like he was in the game, and he may just have brushed his fingers. He's going to pick up 3, but we'll have a look at the replay if we get one and see how close he came just to plucking that one out of the air at mid-wicket.
He wasn't quite in control of that, Rohit Sharma. I think he was trying to get that squarer than he actually hit it. He's a pretty good player of that front foot pull shot, although he was caught out by it a couple of times in England last year. It was a good jump from Walker, a tall man at mid-wicket.
Krishna is in and bowls and goes past the outside edge of Vihari's bat with a delivery that leaves him an even pant. His pant, not necessarily demonstrative in the way he sort of shows his reactions to a delivery, but he really did like that one as he took it running across towards the slips. Lots of movement. This is lovely stuff from Krishna.
Yeah, he's not yet, as I say, he's not yet played a test match. He was brought along to England last year as a net bowler, but was brought into the squad proper for the last test match. I don't think his test debut can be that far away. In
he goes and bowls, trying. Pujara doesn't field cleanly, moving to his left at mid-off. As I say, it's a bobbly, hard outfield, slightly bobbly, hard outfield here at the Uptonsteel County ground. He was giving it a chance to swing there, Krishna, just slightly perhaps overpitched. Didn't go through with a full hard drive though on that occasion. Vihari was content just to push it firmly out into the offside, and Pujara, as I say, didn't take it cleanly, so he picks up a single, moves on to 249 for 1. Gives Rohit another chance to have a good look at Krishna, who is down the slope and bowling to him outside off stump. He steps forward, then just lifts his bat over the line of the ball and indicates with his right hand, as batsmen tend to do, that there was movement there. Still movement away.
And that one, you see the difference when the length is fuller and when the length is just back of a length, because that one came through to Rishabh Pant at what, shin, when ankle height, just when the length is fuller and when the length is just back of a length, because that one that Walker to Rishabh Pant at what, shin, we can see on the monitor, ankle height went over his good leap, managed to get some air.
He's a tall man. Just for a second, half a second, Rohit's heart will have been in his mouth. Wasn't far away. Krishna is into him again and bowling. It comes back this time and comes off the pad, bounces down towards sort of backward point. Joey Everson comes in from that position, deepish gully. And again, good movement for Krishna. He's only bowled 11 balls, but you'd probably say he's been the most impressive bowler on show so far in the amount of movement he's got. Jasprit Bumrah's advising him here.
Yeah, even his the boundary that he was hit for was by no means a bad delivery, and Rohit Sharma was not in full control of the pull shot.
Runs in and bowls to him, comes back in and doesn't miss off stump by very much, taken by Pant, walking away to his left. So movement both ways for Krishna. See how close it actually was. Yeah, it was just a really good delivery again. That little bit of fizz, a little bit of something extra from him.
It's one of those as a batter I think you're quite happy to miss. He just played that. Marcus Trescothick was very fond of that, the sort of the bring the bat in towards the body on a curtain rail leave, drop one hand off the bat, make it look as though I was firmly in control of that, and I think he was just, but it was a tight run. I think we are going to have a change of bowling at this end. There it is, Roman Walker, boomed out by the PA system here at Grace Road. Ex-Glamorgan, strongly built seamer. I suppose in a modern rugby team he'd be a winger, but in a rugby team of about 15 years ago would have been a flanker or something like that. As Walker is into Hanuma Vihari, blocked off the back foot into the offside. The slightly unlikely figure of Jiteshwar Pujara, not exactly a swooper in the covers field. There is no run.
Fango Fox and Matilda are watching down in Melbourne, Australia. He's making the batters hurry, Krishna, he says. He's impressed with what he's seen.
Certainly is, and yeah, quite 8:30 in Melbourne. Quite a nice bit of dinner time, post-dinner time viewing. This is delighted to have you with us from all over the world as Roman Walker is in forward and Vihari plays solidly off the front foot into the mid-wicket region. Joey Everson does the fielding. Gold sunglasses on the back of his head. There is no run.
And Brunty not alone among Leicestershire supporters. Any chance we could hang on to a few of the lads who don't make the test team for our trip in the Championship to Hove? Do you think Sussex will mind? I suspect they might.
I suspect Jiteshwar Pujara might have been one of the... I think if ever there was a player, Jiteshwar Pujara, I don't think Sussex would be particularly keen on that for a number of reasons, as Roman Walker's in. Third ball of the over, right arm over the wicket, punched off the back foot by Vihari, not really looking to do anything more than steer it, and nicely fielded by Evans at backward point. Throw again taken by Rishabh Pant around the ankles, single for Vihari.
India supporters who are not aware, Leicestershire are not one of the wealthier counties around, and they've struggled a little bit in the county championship this season. They have yet to win a game, played 8, lost 5, drawn 3, and the draws have been sort of hang on for a draws, if you know what I mean. So they are still searching for a first Red Bull win of the season.
Walker's fourth bowl, bowling to Rohit Sharma, who leaves through to the keeper. There is no run. Bit of encouragement from Bumrah, who's at mid-off. This has become almost commonplace, really, around the world. The days of fast bowlers grazing at long leg are long gone. You usually have a fast bowler at mid-on and mid-off talking to the bowlers, swapping expertise and swapping little bits of tactical advice. You see James Anderson and Stuart Broad almost uniformly at mid-on and mid-off for each other's bowling for England. As Walker is in to Rohit that beats him on the outside edge. That is a cracker of a delivery. A little bit fuller, a little bit of movement away late off the seam. Beautiful delivery from Roman Walker, and another one that Rohit Sharma was very happy to miss. Bit of a yelp from behind the wicket, but nothing really from the bowler. Lovely delivery from Walker.
Yeah, Pant went up along with the slips, and Rohit sort of turned around and gave his wicketkeeper a slightly old-fashioned look there, but understandable that the slips went up there. Bit of news from Paul Nixon about Rehan Ahmed. I can bring you.
Last ball of the over. Is another beauty from Walker again, past the outside edge, past the shoulder of the bats, and not just movement, but a little bit of bounce using his height and his strength. Well, lovely first over from Roman Walker, just the one off it. 14 overs gone, India 50 for 1, but Roman Walker, Jasprit Bumrah and Prasidh Krishna have caused them problems.
Unquestionably have. Yeah, just to finish that about Rehan Ahmed, unfortunately he was ill yesterday, and consequently it was decided it was as well for him not to play in this game, so he will not, I'm afraid, be appearing for the Foxes against India. That is such a shame.
That is disappointing. He's, if you've seen any of the blasts this year, Rehan Ahmed, the 17-year-old leg spinner, is a real talent.
Krishna is in, bowls outside off stump, good pace and bounce, but it was too wide. Vihari had nothing to do with it, let it bounce through to Pant, who again is giving Bates the benefit of his wisdom behind the stumps. Vihari walks away towards short leg, burst of drumming between overs. One of the many little extras that Leicestershire have imported for this game, just to generate a little bit more atmosphere. There is plenty of good atmosphere, I should say. In goes Krishna and bowls straight, and forward is Vihari. Thick inside part of the bat, sees the ball trickle out towards short mid-wicket. Moving across there from mid-on is Jasprit Bumrah, and there is no run.
There was a while in English cricket where musical instruments were, I think in some places, actually banned, and I think it was one of the most short-sighted moves that administrators have made in the long history of short-sighted moves by administrators. It just adds so much to a game.
Krishna is in, bowls, goes past the outside edge again, I think, of Vihari's bunt. I say I think because he sort of held the pose with the bat slightly raised, as though he'd actually not gone through with the shot, let it run past. Let's have a look-see. Oh, I think he had a little play at that one. I'm liking this from Krishna. It's a little bit of late movement again, a little bit of movement through the air as much as anything. 50 for 1. Vihari is having it tough out there. He's faced 15 balls for his 3. He's probably facing the best bowling of the game so far at the moment as well. Krishna is in as the sun comes back out and bowls to him, goes past the outside edge again with a ball that bounces and leaves him, and this time the young man just pauses momentarily at the end of his follow-through and looks at the batter, whom he is giving a fairly hard time at the moment. 50 for 1.
Prasidh bowled 16 balls and all of them have been excellent.
Bumrah.
16 balls, I should say. Every single one. Even the fuller deliveries, they've not been floaty at all. They've had movement, they've had venom.
In he comes and bowls outside off stump. A little bit shorter this time, and Vihari can stay on the back foot and leave, and will have no doubt been relieved to do so. Lifts his bat high over the line of the ball.
Hanuma Vihari had a first-class average of close to 70 when he was picked for India when they were here in 2018. It was the Oval that he made his debut. Averages in the mid-30s and has played some very important roles for India, not least when injured in Australia, but you get the impression he's not entirely sure where he wants to score.
Krishna is in, bowls to him, straighter this time. He's more comfortable with that delivery on the back foot, playing it out towards mid-on. 50 for 1. It's the end of the over. All sorts of food and drink available at the ground today. Various options located behind the Gallagher stand, the Three Kilns Indian food outlet, and a noodle stall. On the bank behind the electronic scoreboard, the Royal Indian food stand. At the end of the meet, the Mirch Masala, serving vegetarian Indian cuisine, also a burger and hot dog van, and the Meat Cafe and Bar open upstairs, serving a full menu even, and the Spice Bazaar outlet, located in the Geary Bar, is also open.
Roman Walker, can he back up that excellent first over? This is a little bit full and floaty on leg stump. Misses out on that, rather. Blocks it to Abhidina Sakande at mid-wicket. Sakande, who was at Sussex until a couple of years ago, hasn't yet fully established himself in the Leicestershire first team. He is warming up there at mid-wicket, just to the left of the square leg umpire. I think that I'm going to have to strategically try every single one of those food outlets over the time that I am here. It would be remiss of me not to.
It's your duty.
journalism. Short and pulled off the top edge. Is that going to land in the hands of mid-wicket? It is. Abidin Sakande had to go back towards the mid-wicket boundary, but made up the ground comfortably, got into position, and Rohit mistimed to pull off from the other end of Prasidh Krishna, mistimes this one off Walker, well, Bumrah and Prasidh have both bowled well, but it's the Glamorgan bowlers, Davis getting Gill, and now Roman Walker getting Rohit Sharma caught by Abidina Sakande backpedaling from mid-wicket off a top-edged pull. He's gone for a not entirely comfortable 25 off 47. India 50 for 2, and judging by the uptick in volume, I barely need to say who the next batter is. It is the former India Test captain Virat Kohli.
Rohit Sharma leaving the pitch very slowly. As you say, it was there was never any sort of momentum to his innings, never looked really comfortable out there. And he'll obviously get a second chance in this game, you would imagine, at some stage, but looks in need of it as well. Just needs time in the middle, I think. Virat Kohli,
as has been much documented, has gone a long time without an international 100. October 2019 since his last international 100 in the day-night test match in Calcutta against Bangladesh. Has played some very decent test innings in that time, some very important 50s. Was batting like an absolute dream in Adelaide, if you remember, before being run out by Ajinkya Rahane, effectively his vice captain in that game. Good innings in the World Test Championship final, some good innings in England, but we'll be looking to recapture some of that authority that is a hallmark of him at his best. The batter's crossed while that ball was in the air. We're not employing the rule that we've seen in a lot of white ball cricket, where the new batter must face. Hanuman Vihari is on strike and is beaten by this from Walker. Fuller prod sort of inside the line enough by Vihari, but he's not looked settled yet either. 3 off 19 deliveries now. The scoreboard is just trying to work out who's on strike and who's got how many runs.
The scorers control it at the moment. Hopefully they'll get it right shortly. That's better.
3 off 19 for Hanuman Vihari. Virat Kohli yet to face the wickets to fall. Shubman Gill caught behind off the bowling of Will Davis for 21, and Rohit Sharma just now caught at mid-wicket by Sakande off Roman Walker for 25. This is guided off the back foot by Vihari into the backward point region. It's fielded by the captain Sam Evans, and there is no run. The bowlers have worked out that you're better off being length or slightly back of a length, and you can get a bit of seam movement, and they're all tall really. Even Davis is quite tall, and Roman Walker certainly over 6 foot, strongly built. Into Vihari, he is third ball of the over. That's nicely pushed, but not with any real power, and again Evans collapses on it at backward point. There is no run.
It's hard to know what sort of relationship this pitch will bear to the pitch on which the test match will be played over at Edgbaston, which is only 30 odd miles away from here next week.
It's been a very good batting pitch this year, Edgbaston. It often
Tended
is.
To be, hasn't it?
It's often quick scoring ground. As in comes Roman Walker. This is left alone, as much on length as anything else by Vihari. Comfortably left, but another very good over from Roman Walker. I think that might have been a wicket maiden. 2 overs, 1 maidens, 1 for 1. Very, very good stuff from Roman Walker. India, the batter's getting a workout this morning at Grace Road. 50 for 2 after 16 overs.
He won't forget that, Roman Walker, to have dismissed Rohit Sharma. It may not be a first-class game, but it's a feather in the cap, nonetheless, for the young man. Looking to make a breakthrough into the Leicestershire's first team squad. He's played a couple of T20 games. Grinning up at the Leicestershire balcony. He's pleased about that. Down at long leg now. Prasidh Krishna, who has been really impressive in the 3 overs he's bowled, none for 5 at the moment, and he's going to be bowling to Virat Kohli, and it would be a feather in his cap if he could dismiss the great man. Down the slope he comes and bowls, and Kohli gets a delivery that lifts outside the off stump. Super delivery, but I think he dropped his hands out there when he rehearses a drop of the hands, so to speak. Pulls the bat back inside the line in front of his body, but again, good bounce and good movement for the impressive young Krishna.
Yeah, Prasidh Krishna and Virat Kohli again wouldn't have played against each other in first-class cricket. Virat Kohli hasn't played a domestic first-class game in a very long time. Such are his commitments with India in all formats.
Krishna is in, bowls to him, thick inside edge as that one drifts towards middle leg. He defends it, and Walker lets it go through his legs somehow, or over his hands. It bounces, and Krishna will not be over impressed with that. That said, it means he can continue bowling at Kohli, who picks up a boundary. A big cheer from the India supporters down there from that misfield by Walker.
A big giggle from Gavin Griffiths, who's just given him one of the sub-fielders just given him a water bottle and put his hand over his face.
So, such is cricket. One moment you're on top of the world, next minute you're humiliated. In goes Krishna and bowls. Again, slightly short of a length. Kohli stays on the back foot and drops the delivery on off stump back down the pitch and wanders down to have a look at it. The pitch, that is. 54 for 2.
Wandered quite a long way down there. He was almost in the other half of the wicket. I don't think Prasidh Krishna's bowled anything quite that short yet. He's just been banging away on a length with the odd full delivery.
Leans forward, pumps his knees, runs in and bowls and goes past the outside edge of Kohli's bat with another super delivery that gets a little moan of appreciation from the India supporters and those behind the bowler's arm and behind the batter as well, because this is great stuff from Krishna. Ooh, that one went. And again, it was taken by Pant above his shoulders. He's standing quite a long way back, but an indication of that pace as well as movement that Krishna is getting. And he looks a really promising young man to me, a promising young bowler. Serious. Comes in and bowls, and this time Kohli brought the bat back inside the line as it bounced and swung away, and Pant diving across in front of, almost again reaching second slip, where Kimber is the fielder. Bates at first, Davis at third. Doesn't manage to take it cleanly, but Kimber is much amused. Pant is gesturing away behind there.
It must be great fun being in a slip cordon with Rishabh Pant. Never a dull moment. Always. And it's really important for those long days sometimes, just that little bit of energy and life.
Krishna is in, bowls, thick outside edge, but well played by Kohli, because it was a really testing delivery. He got on top of it, played it with soft hands, and although it was a thick outside edge, it bounced well short of Louis Kimber at second slip. End of another really good over from Prasidh Krishna. 4 overs, none for 9. Fairly ordinary figures, but it has not been ordinary bowling. India are 54 for 2.
No, I don't think there's been a single bad ball in those 4 overs. Not even nothing off line. The full deliveries have had a little bit of swing. He's been hit for 1 boundary, but it wasn't at all well controlled. Roman Walker from this end has bowled very well as well. It just took a little bit of time for the bowlers to settle, but maybe it's just the cloud cover and just a settling into the right length on this wicket. That is full, that is driven, and that is out. Hanuma Vihari not getting a full stride into that drive, pushed at it with his hands. Roman Walker went full, and it's caught at first slip by Bates. Hanuma Vihari has gone for a scratchy looking 3 off 23 deliveries. Roman Walker 2.1 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 1. He's dismissed Hanuma Vihari and Rohit Sharma. India 54 for 3.
Full delivery, swung a little bit. He was a little bit in the crease again, wasn't he, Vihari? And he went through with the shot anyway. And in the end, a reasonably comfortable catch into the midriff of Bates. And as you say, it was a little bit, he never really got going at all. He had 23 balls for his 3 and struggled throughout, really.
It wasn't so much that he played any particularly bad shots. There was a lot of good bowling to him, particularly from Prasidh Krishna, but it was never entirely clear and it hasn't always been entirely clear through his test career such far exactly where he's trying to score. Someone for whom that is very much not true, Shreyas Iyer, is coming out at number 5, scores very, very quickly in first-class cricket, has a Test 100, has then got a Test 100 on debut against New Zealand towards the end of last year, and Ajinkya Rahane won't be part of this tour party. He was dropped after a prolonged, poor 2021. He was dropped for the tour of for the series against Sri Lanka, and Shreyas Iyer has pretty much taken his slot at number 5, man from Mumbai, who are currently playing in the Ranji Trophy final and bossing it against Madhya Pradesh. Shreyas Iyer, a very, very watchable player.
Sport is enjoying the drumming at the moment.
You've got to get yourself into it. I think that the drums and the whistles, I'm all for it at all forms of cricket. Absolutely. Walker into Shreyas Iyer, who leaves with a good amount of authority there in that leave. There's a danger of twisting the commentary to suit a narrative here, but there was more comfort in that leave than really in any of the deliveries that Hanuma Vihari faced.
Yeah. Walker is just a very slightly slingy action. That's a little bit unfair, but it is slightly. But it does mean if there is any movement through the air, he does tend to find it away from the right-handers, especially under cloud cover, which is now becoming thicker.
3 slips in as Walker's into Shreyas Iyer. That one leaps from a length, but Shreyas Iyer was pretty much in control of that. A little bit tennis bally as it ballooned past the outside edge, but one that if you were trying to play it, that would catch you off guard. But nicely not played at by Shreyas Iyer.
Pant's rather enjoying this, I think, now behind the stumps. Movement.
I think he's quite enjoying watching his teammates look a bit uncomfortable.
Exactly.
This is a workout that the India top order batters are getting. Again, good stride into the lead from Shreyas Iyer. Leads this through to the keeper. There is no run in limited overs cricket, which is a lot of what Shreyas Iyer has played. Certainly at kind of prominent levels. He's played. He's been an IPL captain of 2 different franchises. He's played some one-day international cricket and T20 cricket for India. He was recently in the series against South Africa. He has struggled to score off the short ball. It's not that he's necessarily bad against it, but he doesn't have a particularly good pull or hook shot. It'll be interesting to see if that is tested. That's on the front foot and keeps a little bit low. Easy leave for Shreyas Iyer through to the keeper. There is no run. But he's a very, very talented cricketer, Shreyas Iyer. And just look at, I was doing some research on his first-class record thus far for Mumbai. He scores at over 4.5 and over in the Ranji Trophy, and average is over 50. 10 hundreds, 5 of them 150 plus. He has very much earned his way into this India team, as Walker is defended with what appeared to be a good amount of time from Shreyas Iyer to backward point. There is no run. I think that's another maiden for Roman Walker. Not as impressive as his other maiden, but still 3 overs, 2 maidens, 1 2 for 1, bowling against almost a first-choice India team. You will absolutely take it. 54 for 3. If you could hear any of that over the drums.
I was going to wait for a few seconds before jumping in there. We'll let you hear the benefit of the rhythm and the beat as Walker walks back towards the drums down here at long leg. Big cheer for that little burst. Kohli, 4 off 6 balls, stands with his bat raised, looking suspiciously back up the wicket at Prasid Krishna, who runs in and bowls to him outside off stump line and length, but a little bit too wide. Kohli steps forward and lifts his bat very deliberately over the line of the ball.
Kohli and Shreyas are almost making a point of getting a stride in now, which we haven't really seen much of in the last hour. There's leaves of balls that are going well over the top of the stumps. Rishabh Pant taking them, fingers pointing up above waist height, but there's that stride into the ball. I mentioned Ricky Ponting earlier. Pretty much every leave could have been a drive from that position.
79,000 people watching this now on the stream, fascinated by India's preparation as outside off stump Krishna bowls and beats Kohli. Again drew the great man into a forward defensive, and it went past the outside edge. Hugely impressive stuff from the young man. 4.2 overs, none for 9, but could easily have a couple of wickets to his name already.
He's played at that Virat Kohli. The bat was just a little bit away from the body, or away from the pad at least. Followed it with his hands a little bit, which is, very common of Virat Kohli early in his innings.
Krishna is in, elbows jutting, bowls outside off stump. Again, too wide, Pant dived away to his right. Didn't take the ball cleanly, but stopped it, took the pace right off it, and the amused Kimber at second slip cleaned up again. He's obviously a very funny man as well, judging by the perma-grin on the faces of the slips there. Davis, Kimber and Bates are all hugely enjoying.
I think we'll have to ask all of them at the end of play exactly what Rishabh Pant has been saying.
But it's a fairly constant stream. In goes Krishna and bowls. Good bounce again. Comes back in again. Comes back in this time to Kohli, but he plays it very well. There isn't that much pace in the track. So if you're a good player, you can adjust if you have very quick eyes, and Kohli did there. He's kindly rehearsing the shot that he played, or the shot that he didn't play, for our benefit, as it came back in and climbed up past his stomach, lifted his bat over the line of the ball.
You can see over there at the sort of offside of the ground, some kids maybe going around the back of the stand for some refreshment, or maybe a game of quick cricket.
Krishna is in, bowls full, looking for the Yorker, dug out by Kohli, but another good testing delivery played out to mid-on on this occasion. Rehearses the clip through mid-wicket there, Virat Kohli, and perhaps if he'd been in a little bit longer, he would have looked to work it away down towards deep mid-wicket, to the delight of the kids out there.
He actually air-batted 2 shots there. He practiced the clip through mid-wicket and then the punch on drive, a la his coach Rahul Dravid.
Do that again, and that's what I'll do to you, young man. Sending a message, perhaps. In goes Krishna and bowls to him. Good line and length, but I say good line and length. It was slightly wide outside of stump, so left by Kohli, and then Krishna has enough confidence to stay there at the end of his follow-through, it being the end of his over, and chat to Virat Kohli, who can only be impressed with what he's seen so far in this match of Prasidh Krishna. 5 overs, none for 9. It was a maiden over. But he's still getting good pace and good movement. The conversations continue out there between Kohli and Pujara and Iyer.
Prasidh Krishna bringing on his way back to the leg as well,
yep.
Having a little bit of a word, swapping notes and saying well bowled and I'll get you, and like a baseball player pointing where they're going to hit a home run. This is where I'm going to hit you for 4, all of this stuff. As Shreyas Iyer drives very pleasantly off at Roman Walker, a full delivery, but straight to Pujara at cover.
Pujara's got his sleeveless sweater on now, so it has clouded up a bit from the southeast. As I say, warning is just the chance of the odd shower. The forecast for most of the game is pretty good, but it's just taking the edge off the temperatures of the cloud.
We're in that bit of summer, it's kind of around the solstice, where a thunderstorm can come up out of nowhere in England. As Walker is into Shreyas Iyer, yet to get off the mark. Tries to get off the mark there with a quick single, but they quickly decide against it. Cheteshwar Pujara is not the quickest mover in the field, but there was no run there, and Kohli and Iyer worked that out quite quickly. In the end, there is no run.
The audience building all the time for this stream. Now, I suppose we're getting towards the end of the working day in India, aren't we? So people coming in from work, perhaps, and watching.
4:23 p.m. As Walker is in to Shreyas Iyer, left alone through to the keeper. There is no run. I think the presence of a certain Virat Kohli at the crease may have something to do with the
yes,
with the uptick. But yeah, there's huge interest, of course, in India wherever they go, and we're delighted to have so many of you with us, and we hope you'll stick around over the next 4 days.
We should say that in England this season, every ball bowled in county cricket is now streamed on the internet. And the quality is pretty good.
As Walker is into Shreyas Iyer, it's the first ball that he's faced of his 9 deliveries where he's looked a little uncomfortable, just takes the bottom hand off it and guides it to back point. There is no run. Yeah, I interviewed Ben Warren at Somerset who handles their stuff, and they put a lot of money into it during the 2020 season, to the point where they were actually, it's an actual profit driver for Somerset. And we've seen Sky TV, for example, have taken some of the feeds from Middlesex, and you have multiple cameras and replays and good production values. It is very, very impressive what the counties have done with, in some cases, minimal resources. This is an attempted clip off the hips from Shreyas Iyer as Walker bowls his first slightly offline delivery. It's a leg by as it comes off the thigh pad, and now Roman Walker will get a chance to bowl to Virat Kohli, who just scratches his guard. Often bats outside of his crease to the seamers. I don't think he is so far today. Bumrah has just sort of motioned, bring him forward to Roman Walker. Let's see if he can take that advice. Rishabh Pant still chatting away to his new friend in the slip cordon. As Roman Walker comes in, last ball of his 4th over to Virat Kohli, who leaves this. It's clearly going over the top of the stumps, and no one was particularly interested in the appeal. Even Walker wasn't particularly interested in the appeal. 4 overs for him, 2 maidens, 2 for 1. Actually, technically 3 maidens, I think, because the leg byes don't go against him as the bowler. India, 20 overs gone of this tour match, 55 for 3, but certainly in the last hour or so, a lot less comfortable than that would suggest.
Yeah, not the greatest leave there by Virat Kohli, but yeah, much too high. But good movement again for the bowler. Krishna will continue 5 overs, none for 9 from the Bennett end. Down the slope he comes and bowls to Iyer, who drives and misses. And is it taken? It is out. He's gone. He has got the edge, and Krishna has a deserved wicket. It was a very faint edge, might even, given that Pant looked to take it low to his left, might even have been an inside edge, may just have come back a little bit. We'll have a careful look at the replay. It was a slightly airy drive from Iyer, especially relatively early in his innings, just the 10th or even 11th ball that he has faced, yet to get off the mark. It looked comfortable enough at the other end against Walker, but was drawn into driving at that one. No real foot movement. Bat was away from the body. Faint edge taken by Pant, who has his 2nd catch of the morning. And India are 55 for 4.
Just didn't quite get into the ball, did he? I think it was an inside edge, low off the sort of inside bottom corner of the bat, and a good take by Rishabh Pant, lower, kind of above his left foot, and you're right, Prasidh Krishna has absolutely deserved that. I think he's been the pick of the bowlers this morning, has troubled his top order colleagues with pretty much every delivery, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do now to Ravindra Jadeja coming out at number 6, who has been in phenomenal batting form over the last 2 or 3 years, almost a batting all-rounder these days. A couple of test matches ago, or maybe even in his last test match, got his test high score of 175 against Sri Lanka.
Number 8 on his back, long-sleeved shirt for Jadeja, short-sleeved as ever for Virat Kohli. 55 for 4.
Yeah, from a position of 50 for 1. There's barely been a shot of any authority in the last 40 minutes. Virat Kohli scored a boundary that was, a nice little turn off the hips, but a misfield, and that has been really the only scoring shot of note recently.
Krishna is in to the left-handed Jadeja, who is up on his toes, dropping the ball off leg stump down towards short leg. Bowley comes running in, but Kohli had seen there was a comfortable single to be taken and took it, but then he just stretches his left hamstring a little bit. Kohli, sure he's fine, and he's looking back towards the India bench. He seems fine. Just stretched it off a little bit. That doesn't want a hamstring injury going into the test match. Still looking back there. Krishna is down the slope, bowls to him. He leaves outside off stump. Pant has to dive miles and can't get there on this occasion. First and second slip steps smartly out of the way. They don't even try to get into the way, and that is 4 byes. That one boomed away from the outside edge. And, well, he may just actually have just got stuck the edge of his gauntlets to that one and deflected it wide of Bates at first slip, but it did rather look as though they were stepping out of the way. I don't think we'll bother. Thank you very much.
Well, Bates was kind of air wicket-keeping to it, but then Punt deflected it round the post for a corner. That went sharply off the seam away from Virat Kohli.
Krishna down the slope in and bowls, straightens his line up a little bit. Fuller, middle and leg, pushed by Kohli off that line out into the onside. Picked up by Bumrah at mid-on, and there is no run. It has now pretty much solidly clouded over. I can see a little bit of a shower away, good 5 miles or so away to the southeast. Hopefully that will pass to the south of the ground. Pitch is a sort of north-south-ish alignment. The weather usually comes from the southwest over the electronic scoreboard here. In goes Krishna, bowls down the leg side, flicked on its way. No, looked, he did flick at it, Kohli, but again, prodigious movement off the seam from Krishna. Banged it in. He's a tall young man, hit the seam, seamed away down the leg side, down to the finest of fine legs for 4. Pant barely moved.
4 wides, I think, signal, which I think is a little harsh. It's certainly a one-day wide, but it wasn't that wide of the batter. Slightly harsh. I mean, it would have been harsh on Punt had it gone down as buys, I suppose. But yeah, the ball is doing a little bit from Prasidh Krishna, to say the least.
He is in and bowls outside off stump to Kohli, who, unlike Ayer, is not to be tempted into driving. Doesn't let that one go through. Steps forward. Wants to spend time at the crease.
Now the scorecard I'm looking at says buys, but I thought I saw the umpire spread the wings. Certainly sundries.
It would have been a harsh call on the bowler, but yes. 65 for 4. Krishna, coming to the end of his 6th over, possibly his last, is in and bowls again down the leg side. Bounce this time, doesn't move quite as far. Kohli again gestures at the ball rather than attempts to push it away down to fine leg, taken by Pad comfortably enough, and that is the end of Krishna's over. And it did look towards the end of that over that he was getting just slightly, maybe tired, just starting to lose his line a bit, but it has been a most impressive spell from the young man. 6 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 15.
Yeah, very, very good from Prasidh Krishna, the pick of the bowlers this morning. If you're just joining us here on the live stream with me, Knuckle Pandey, and Richard Ray, 4 India players are playing for Leicestershire. Rishabh Pant, who is keeping, certainly in this first session, Jasprit Bumrah and Prasidh Krishna, who've both bowled, and Cheteshwar Pujara, who is currently in the covers, and we will probably bat number 3. Rowan Walker has bowled 4 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 1 thus far, starting his 5th to Ravindra Jadeja. It's a Yorker that just goes in between bat and pad and misses the off stump. Really good in-swinging Yorker from Rowan Walker, taken by Rishabh Pant. Jadeja is lucky to still be there.
It's good stuff from both Krishna and Walker, isn't it? It's not what you necessarily expect. Seen off the new ball, or you think you've seen off the new ball. Only 21 overs. And a delivery old, of course. It's actually pretty much at its best right now, isn't it? With I presume we're using the Duke's ball.
As Walker is into Ravindra Jadeja, who defends off the inside part of the bat to mid-wicket. There is no run. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the Duke's ball not being up to scratch this year. They're handmade, so each batch is different. But it can often be the case, certainly with swing through the air, that once the lacquer goes off the Duke after the first 20 minutes, 40 minutes or so, that the ball can start doing a bit more. Most of it's been off the seam today. It's been slightly back of a length and nibbling the ball off the seam, but Walker is certainly getting the ball to move through the air. He's into Ravindra Jadeja now, who pushes at this, and it squirts off the outer part of the bat well wide of 3rd slip, and that's the first boundary for Ravindra Jadeja, the first boundary for some time, but not in full control.
Davis at 3rd slip, just half dived away to his left, thought he might have been in the game, couldn't quite get there, bounce, you say, sort of good bit before him and a little bit wide, but even so, genuine edge from Jadeja, managed just to keep it down sufficiently.
India scored 35 runs in the first 9 overs and looked pretty comfortable at that point, but Just the 34 runs since then, and lost a loss of 4 wickets. And the boundaries, none of them particularly convincing, as Walker comes in to Jadeja, strikes him on the pad. It's not even really an appeal, it's an ooh from Roman Walker as it strikes him high on the thigh pad. There is no run. And the ball to come in to the left hand. It'll be interesting to see if he can get Kohli on strike and take the ball away from him. Virat Kohli can be susceptible, as has been well documented, to pushing balls outside off stump, moving away from him. As Walker's in, penultimate ball of the over. Still over the wicket to the left-hander, beats him outside off stump. Semi-left by Jadeja, sort of allowed himself to be beaten. But a good ball again from Walker, on back of a length and just angling across the left-hander. And I suppose that's why he's still over the wicket rather than going round the wicket, as we see a lot of particularly tall right-arm bowlers to left-handers. He thinks he can challenge both edges better from over.
Certainly. One of the issues with the Duke balls, I'll come back to that point in a moment at the end of the over, actually.
Last ball of Walker's 5th, 22nd of the innings is clipped in the air, but well into the gap between mid-wicket and mid-on. I'm not sure if that's going to run away to the fence. A chase from Jasprit Bumrah, and they'll come through for 3. Not perfectly timed, but well enough placed. The ball rears up off the practice pitches as Bumrah throws it in and nearly takes out bowler. Bowley backing up and Jadeja, but all is well. 3 runs off the last delivery of the over. Jadeja will keep strike. He's on 8 for Kohli on for India after 22 overs, 72 for 4.
It was at a catchable height, but into the gap. So living a little bit dangerously at the moment, Jadeja. He moves on to 8. Umpire Russell Warren was in danger there as well. Yeah, no, just that point about the Duke balls. One of the issues has been that they put the lacquer over the seam as well from the start of this season. So although that they've gone out of shape fairly quickly, or certainly the first batch of balls did go out of shape. One innings, Leicestershire played in up at Durham. The ball was changed 4 times in the first 80 overs because it just wouldn't go through the sort of gauge that they use now to ensure sphericality of the ball. But putting the lacquer over the seam means it sometimes is 4 or 5 or 6 overs before the seam starts to really take effect as well. And maybe that's been the case here, but maybe, of course, Krishna and Walker have bowled very, very well. They've certainly both hit the seam and got movement. But Krishna is now out of the attack, as we suspected would be the case, and we are now going to see Abhi Sikandar have a bowl from the Bennett end. Been a disappointing season for Sikandar, who will have been hoping to play some first-team cricket. In he goes and bowls out. Is it me? Outside off stump, and is it me?
You are on strike, yes.
I am. Okay, bowls outside off stump and taken by Pant, allowed to go through by Jadeja. Early days for not to be sure, but do you wait till the 4th day? I won't have a clue. 72 for 4.
Sikandar's another one who's got a slightly slingy action. He's always had pace, Sikandar. He's often struggled a little bit for control. I mean, he was in a Sussex team that had a lot of very good fast bowlers, which I think is why he left.
Big, strong man bowls fullish and looking to drive. Jadeja walks into that firm push out towards mid-off. It goes, and there's no run. Plenty of India flags I can see around being waved and around people's shoulders. Leicestershire have a range of India merchandise available, including flags, whistles, horns and wristbands from the club shop located at the main Curzon Road entrance, along, of course, with official Leicestershire merchandise, including replica kits. Round the wicket goes Sikandar and bowls full outside off stump, almost a full toss, and waiting for it. Jadeja content just to bunt it into the offside, slightly wide of mid-off, and take the single. He moves on to 9, 73 for 4. Difficult for Sikandar. He's following probably the spell of the match so far with respect to Roman Walker, who's got the best figures of the game so far from Prasid Krishna. And comparisons are going to be difficult in those circumstances, but certainly his first 3 deliveries slightly less threatening than any of those bowled by Krishna.
suppose he'll be used to following excellent bowlers, given that he's from Sussex with Chris Jordan and Jofra Archer.
Down the slope he comes and bowls outside off stump to Virat Kohli, who lets that one go through. It doesn't really deviate from its line, taken flourish by Pant Davis, just swinging his arms a little bit. Good. So back to somehow they've been trying to get to an extra yard or so of pace from
today, Azhar Mahmood, the Surrey bowling coach, talking about Jamie Overton and the work they've done with him to get him more consistent, and now he's, of course, making his Test debut at Headingley. And I wonder if some of the similar kind of work might be profitable with Sakande as Walker's in, and that's beautifully driven down the ground by Ravindra Jadeja, the most authoritative